I'll let Penny take it from here.
Sorry, I'm already doing the mic thing. So the mic seems to be better tonight, or we have better acoustics or something. So everyone is welcome to come up. We'll do it one at a time. You've got 5 minutes. I set the timer. And when it gets down to 1 minute, I'll walk this direction so you'll know you'll need to wrap up. When the timer goes off, I ask you to go ahead and wrap up as quickly as possible. Nancy, did you have a question? Oh. Okay, Nancy Foltz will be going first.
I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
I had something else to say. No, I'll get it next time. No, go right ahead.
Hi, I'm Nancy Foltz. I do not live in Vermillion County, but I am a landowner and taxpayer. I support renewable energy in the county. I want to talk about the elephant in the room. Each person in this room has an opinion on wind turbines being built in this county. We've all heard positive and horror stories about wind turbines. Either you like them or you hate them. We can debate for years the pros and cons of renewable energy and where it should be built, but wind farms are coming. If not to Vermillion County, they will be built near you. I heard I painted a picture of doom and gloom for the county the other night. I certainly didn't intend to sound that way. In fact, I believe the exact opposite. These are exciting times for Vermillion County, and what an opportunity you've been given. I'm a glass half full kind of girl, and I'm always looking for ways to change and improve everything around me. Just ask my husband about all my remodeling projects and how I'd like to change him sometimes. But if you look to the counties throughout the U.S., wind farms can be built while still ensuring the residents' safety, health, and welfare. Change is scary. There aren't many people who truly embrace it. In fact, most people get dragged kicking and screaming towards change. Hope, growth, and opportunity are all positive words that represent the same concept, and I think describe the current state and possible future state of Vermillion County. One way is jobs. You're right, wind farms are not going to bring many jobs, but think about what it does bring. Opportunity for more companies to come to Vermillion County. This county has a railroad, highway, plenty of water in the underground aquifer. Just imagine if you could add green energy to that list of what you can provide a company. That's a trifecta. Think back to when Lilly came to the county. They provided so much more than jobs. They're smaller now and they give, but not as much. Duke, another great company. They give so much to the community. But what happens when they close? We need another Lilly or don't do. Vermillion County is perfectly situated with major power lines that provide energy to the power grid. We have wind coming off of the North Plains. Not every community has the assets we have. All it takes is to take advantage of our unique landscape in one bold move. I know you must be tired of reading ordinances, but I've given you a copy of Jay and Randolph County's ordinance on the other side of the state in East Central Indiana. They've had wind farms for the last 5 years. Unlike Benton County, they have similar population and actually greater population density per square mile. Their APC and commissioner's ordinance was written so that they protected both the residents and the landowners' rights. It was a win for everyone. By writing an ordinance that at least leaves the opportunity for wind, you're allowing the opportunity for companies to come and apply for permits. It doesn't mean you have to let them build, but it does allow you to have a conversation about what can be done. If you write an ordinance so restrictive that a wind turbine can't be built on any land in the county, you're shutting the door with that one document for all future development. There are experts out there who can help you write an ordinance that protects the public health and safety and still allows for community growth. Through zoning and planning, you can always ensure that Vermillion County doesn't become an Avon or Plainfield. I know there's absolutely nothing that will make the turbines beautiful, but a change in attitude goes a long way. If you see each one not as an ugly machine in the sky, but as a source of bright and beautiful future, maybe you can see them as twinkling stars. This is such an extraordinary opportunity for the county. I appeal to you to at the very least, leave the door open for future discussions by writing an ordinance that could allow turbine development. I urge each of you to take a bold step and think what this county could be in the future. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Nancy was checking my timer there to see if I was correct, but she hit it right on time. All right, who would like to speak next? Gonna do all three of you right at the beginning?
Hello all, I'm Tim Fultz. I'm not a resident, first of all, I am not a resident of Vermillion County, but I am a property owner and taxpayer. Any rate, I've lived in Vermillion County over 55 years. Tuesday night, I told you my personal story. Tonight, I want to share something else in support of renewable energy. We already know wind turbines can be annoying and eyesore, but to me, the question is, are they safe or will they have a harmful effect on a neighbor's health? I don't live here anymore, but I sure don't want to see a neighbor get sick from a turbine. My wife worked for Eli Lilly and is a scientist, and she's retired. She's a retired chemist. As a scientist, she studies topics that we want to know more about. She researched information about health effects of wind turbines on unbiased websites. She found 2 papers published on the U.S. Department of Energy's website under the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. It's not scrolling, dear. There it is. One panel referenced over 200 papers. The other had about 40 references. I will give you a copy, which they have up front, but it can be overwhelming. Both documents ended up with nearly the same conclusions, but Ontario, Canada's study is most clear. I quote, "The review concludes that while some people living near wind turbines report symptoms such as dizziness, headaches, sleep disturbance, the scientific evidence available to date does not demonstrate a direct causal link between the wind turbine noise and adverse health effects. The sound level from the wind turbines at common residential setbacks is not sufficient to cause hearing impairment or other direct health effects, although some people may find it annoying," end quote. Consider for a moment, if there was information saying wind turbines were unsafe, a public threat, or even environmental threat, the U.S. government would put legislation in place to prevent or tightly regulate the construction of wind turbines. There are laws, regulations for everything, but they have very little oversight for wind turbines. If after comprehensive reviews, experts don't conclude wind turbines are harmful, then I don't think it's APC's or Commissioner's job to say that turbines impact health. When you get right down to it, the idea of a wind farm is a very personal and emotional topic. Although I think they are mesmerizing, many people are annoyed by them. And those people do have a right to be upset. And probably no one would stand up here and say, sure, build a power plant, factory, Walmart, wind turbine, or any other thing next to them. Our local and national government is tasked to make decisions for the greater good of people, of all people. Your job is to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the constituents in the entire county. It must be hard to try to decide for 15,000 plus residents. I talked about Raccoon Lake the other night on Tuesday. I guarantee folks that lived along the creek and had to move from their lifelong homes were not happy about it, but for the good of the people, the state decided to dam the creek anyway. Would I want a windmill in the field adjacent to my house? I don't really know, but I don't think that homeowners' rights should outweigh the landowner's rights if the structure can be built in a safe manner. Production of energy is not a government's responsibility, and I, for one, am glad it's not. Can you imagine your rates if it was? Instead, it's left to the private industry to make and distribute energy across the U.S. It's the local government's responsibility to work with the energy producers to provide power to their county. When all the coal plants are shut down, where will Vermillion County get their power from? Wind, solar farms will be built in the next few years to make up for other plant shutdowns. I urge you to work together with industry experts to develop a zoning ordinance that both ensures public safety and allows construction of wind turbines in Vermillion County. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you, Tim. Something that's come across my email twice this week, and I wanted to share with you guys, and it has nothing to do with the wind. So, the Indiana DNR has received reports of 6 and dying songbirds in 15 counties statewide. They're asking everyone to empty your bird feeders and bleach them and empty your bird baths. I have contact information. The 15 counties they're in are Clark, Delaware, Hamilton, Jackson, Jefferson, Johnson, LaGrange, Lake, Marion, Monroe, and Newton, St. John, Union, Washington, and Whitley. It's not here, but they may just not have been reported. You've seen them, Nancy? Okay, so anyway, that's come across the email twice, so it's important. Second time, no. But please, if you have a bird bath or bird feeders, take them down, bleach them, leave them down until this resolves itself, I guess. Anyway, enough about birds for the moment. Who else would like to speak? Kathleen. I'll go first.
Thanks, Penny, for breaking up the Fultz trifecta. So, my name is Katie Foltz. I grew up here in Vermillion County. I no longer live here, but I do support the wind energy. So, right now, I'm living in Columbus, Ohio. I went to school for engineering. Throughout the county, we have a lot of other things in the fields. We have Cargill's big elevator, the smoke tower here in Cayuga. We have the lights at Elenco's manufacturing facility, and many other tall grain bins and barns. So just like when all of those structures were permitted and built, wind turbines are not going to change the fact Vermillion County is beautiful, friendly, and a safe place to live and raise your family. If the ABC and commissioners had blocked Lilly, the paper company, Duke, or Gargill from developing the land, where would the county be? Now, that is a scary thought. We'd have even less people here and less funds to fix our roads and man our fire stations and police stations. If wind energy doesn't come to this county, it's going to come to a county near us, and they will be making all the profits. I ask that you review the data you've been provided and write an ordinance that allows the opportunity for wind turbines to come to Vermillion County, that allows this administration and future administrations to at least explore wind as a possibility. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kathleen. Who would like to speak next? Born and raised here, lived here.
Hello, my name is Gary Newman. I am for the wind turbines, and I am not currently a member of Vermillion County. I went to a small college in Ohio, and on our campus we had 3 wind turbines. While I was there, I actually majored in civil engineering, so this is right up my alley. I take a lot of pride in renewable energy because going to the future, my kids aren't going to have renewable, or they're not going to have gas, they're not going to have coal. We're running out of the resources. We need to find new renewable resource energies. Wind is a great one to start with. It's just it's clean energy. I actually reside in Columbus, Ohio, and I have friends who are from there.
You ain't gotta listen to them, man. You gotta see them.
Kind of got a little bug in me. The reason I wanted to come here. You guys are probably thinking to yourself, why is a little guy from Ohio coming all the way to Indiana and talking about wind turbines. It's because I care about my future, and I hope you guys care about your future too. Thank you.
Thank you, Garrett. Charlie, are you itching this way to speak?
Yep.
All right.
I ain't got no computer and I ain't got no much crap down now though.
Okay, that's all right. Get behind the mic.
Yeah. That's nice work.
Yes.
My name's Shirley Kraft. Lived in Cayuga all my life, so for the state in the Marine Corps. I'm park president, park board, and I've worked around. I work for Duke. I retired from Duke, and unfortunately, I heard that maybe it's going away. But at the present time, you know, only 7% of our power comes from this source or the other source. So I don't know where they're going to come up with that 93 other percent to do with these powerhouses. And working there doesn't have nothing to do with me not liking them. I don't like them. I don't like looking at them. I don't like looking at them ones up at Earl Park. I don't like looking at these telephone poles that came from Sager all the way down here on our street that we didn't have nothing to say about. Every day I go anywhere, I got to look at them telephone poles. The state evidently approved them because it's on state right away. Many bad things about the windmills. I got a friend that just moved to town from Alabama. He said he's seen one of these windmills come apart. He said not only did the parts fly about 2 miles, which is very bad, that was the good part. The environmental spill from these windmills was a full hydraulic fluid, full oil. He said for half a mile away around that windmill, they had to destroy the land and dig it up and replace the farmer's field. I understand farmers and property owners are for this because they're going to get money. And especially these people don't here live here and they don't have to look at them. So I got a bad feeling about them. I don't see where it's any advantage to Vermillion County to have these windmills. They provide no jobs, maybe 1 or 2. And I'll have campers. I'll tell you that when they start, if they do windmills, I have the campgrounds in the park. We'll have campers coming in here building things. So, I mean, it's good for the first 6 months. The life expectancy on the things, what? They get there for about 12 years. They still ain't figured out what to do with them after the 12 years. They're going to look at them. Electric companies get these free because the government's still paying for them, right? So electric companies coming out ahead. I'm a Duke person, man. Out of management, I jump right on this. I want these things because I'm getting it free. Oh man, my company's come out way ahead. In 12 years, what I'm going to do? Things bad. All of them's bad at one time. Just put them all in at one time. Okay, I'm just walking away. Do I have to take them down? Do I have to pay Buddy White to come and take them down? Or do I just, Duke Energy owns a lot of money, a lot of lawyers, so I just walk away? There's windmills in your yard. Look at even after you look at them for 12 years, now you got to look at them until something happens to them. Okay? Make my point.
Thank you, Charlie. And we do have a beautiful Cayuga Park. If everybody hasn't been there, drive through there on your way out of town. Because I know some of you guys don't make it to Cayuga very often. Not that far from town. Who else would like to speak?
I guess I gotta go back to bingo.
Don't play bingo, I work for you.
Good evening, I'm John Kraft. I'm from Edgar County, Illinois. I am not being paid to speak here. I do not have a lease with any wind company. I heard somebody talk about unbiased opinions in the Department of Energy earlier. When I was researching smart meters several years ago, I would say 5, maybe 8 years ago, I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the Department of Energy about meetings and payments from the Department of Energy to local governments, and guess what I found? The unbiased Department of Energy paid people to show up to public meetings to speak in favor of smart meters every time another person spoke against smart meters. I have that in writing, and it was provided under a Freedom of Information Act request from the Department of Energy. And it's kind of crazy to think that they could be unbiased when they pay people to speak against their local residents. I'm not saying that's happening here. I'm saying they have a recent history of doing that. If you want me to provide you the public records that prove it, I'll be glad to do that. Another issue is, at the last meeting, somebody spoke, and they spoke at this meeting too, about in favor of wind turbines. At the last meeting, I believe one of them even said that she didn't know if they would, even have wind turbines on their property. Well, the Vermillion County Recorder recorded a memorandum of lease on May 20, 2021 with that farm and Ernie Pyle Wind LLC. You can have a copy of this. And the reason why I'm saying that is I urge everybody to not only voice their opinion for or against. I'm not saying I'm for or against them. I have no dog in this fight in this county or in this state. I'm just informing everybody here that they need to take into consideration the why people are showing up to speak either way. And like me, I don't get paid to speak up here. I don't get paid anything to come to this meeting and speak. People that are getting paid or have contracts or leases with the wind company should volunteer and say, hey, I've got a lease with the wind company, here's why I'm for it. You're more credible that way. And as the two previous meetings, you should also pay close attention to public officials and business owners that speak on behalf of the wind turbines in the wind industry, because there was a contract written in Mount Pulaski with the school district in 2015. They didn't sign it, but I got a copy of it. I got a copy of the wind industry representative's signature on it. The school board didn't sign it. What that contract did, it required the school board to pass a resolution in support of the project. It required a superintendent or president to speak in support of the wind farm at any and all public meetings, to include hearings. They were to issue press releases after approval by Meridian Wind in support of the wind farm and in support of the terms and conditions of the wind farms. No board member was to speak against or in opposition to the wind farm in their official capacity, and if they wanted to speak it in their private capacity, they could not speak against it at the same meeting that the board was speaking in favor of it. They couldn't sue or take part in a lawsuit, and they couldn't pass any law, ordinance, or regulation attempting to regulate, limit, or otherwise detrimentally affect the farm. And that lasted 25 years. 25 years is 7 4-year school board elections. So your unborn child could potentially get elected and not be able to speak against wind farms. And there's also the issue with is the time up?
15 seconds.
15 seconds. There's also an issue recently within the last 2 years. A mayor in a municipality in Illinois had basically the same type of contract. And it also included a gag order if he was to sign it that he could never speak against wind farms. That's all I have. Just pay attention to who's talking.
Public hearing, yes. We will have time on a public hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Wasn't sure on that one, so I had to check.
It's public
Rhonda?
hearing.
I just have a question. Are the commissioners here tonight?
We have one commissioner here.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Which one?
Luther Britton.
Okay.
Britton Luther. No, it's Britton Luther. Luther, B comes before L, so it's Britton Luther. That's how I have to remember it, so sorry. At least I didn't call you the wrong name like I did the other night. Who else would like? Vicky. No, you're cool.
Hello, my name is Vicky Richardson. I was born here and I live here now. I live in the town of Cayuga, Indiana. And I didn't go to the other meetings. I thought I was supposed to wait for the Cayuga one, so I waited. And I want to express my concerns. And I also have some answers or some questions, I guess, about some things I've heard expressed here earlier. First of all, I don't think we are running out of coal, oil, and gas. I think there's plenty of that. And I don't think it's expensive. And I don't know, other than that the current presidential administration is promoting green energy, any reason other than that why this is being pushed at this time. Also, if Duke Energy didn't bring companies, being a very fine, substantial, and important company, I don't know why wind turbines would bring energy, other companies here. I just don't see the correlation to that. So I'd have to totally disagree with that. I see my quality of life as being seriously affected by the wind turbines. Yes, perhaps we will need them in the future. I don't think it's inevitable. And I don't think we have to do it just because some other places are doing it. I don't see Vermillion County as a place where everybody follows someone else. I see Vermillion County as a place where people think for themselves and decide what's best for them. And then I look at why are these wind turbines being placed on rented land? Why aren't they purchasing the land? If this is so wonderful, I ask myself, why don't they purchase the land? Why don't they stay here long term? I see them as grabbing their paycheck for 20 years and then taking off, leaving the oil spills here, leaving the concrete here, our polluted land, our dead birds, our polluted scenery, and just leaving. Why do we have to settle for that as citizens of Vermillion County? Don't we deserve better? Scenery is one of the main things that attracts people to this place. I also have concerns about the high tension lines that they need to transport the electricity to wherever they're going to transport it. There are results that say that is dangerous, that it's linked to cancer, that it's linked to, even worse, earthquakes. We're on an earthquake fault in this area. Do we really want to invite this? Now, the science of how it works, I just know kinetic energy goes down into the ground and shakes, and we're already shaky from being on a fault. And do we need to add this, another risk to our life? And I love birds. I don't want to see our birds, migrating birds, damaged, the routes hurt by things like this. Maybe all of you have some answers for that. Noise pollution, hey, it's important to me that people around there can sleep and sleep well. That's not just a few people. Those are people who matter. And again, I'm not being paid to stay here, to speak here. These are just my thoughts. Also, everybody remembers the extreme cold we had last year, or early this year in Texas. All of those turbines shut down. I don't know if they froze. I don't know what the technical reason was, but they're not dependable. They were on rolling blackouts for, I don't know, several weeks. Some people actually froze to death. Do we want to have to be dependent on something that is not dependable? In my opinion, it is not a dependable form of energy and not worth giving up our other forms of energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Vicky. Who'd like to speak next? We're gonna be in the early evening tonight.
5 minutes, Anna.
I've heard that. My name is Anna Paletofoltz. I live in Vermillion County, and I am for wind energy. Back in 2000, my family, we took a trip overseas, and guess what I saw in 2000? Windmills. Europe had windmills in 2000. Oh my gosh, this is a new thing. We didn't know what it was. We looked, and we thought, that is so cool. Well, if you've never been overseas, you don't know about people there and how much they respect the environment and the land and how conservative they are. They recycle, they take care of everything over there. You don't see litter, you don't see dirt, you don't see anything. And they all have wind energy. Oh my gosh, it's such a bad thing to have. Let me tell you a little bit about myself. I went to school here in Glendale School. I went to the South Vermillion Middle School. I went to the South Vermillion High School. I graduated in 1982. I was the second class to go through all those years. That was 39 years ago. And I remember all the controversy at that time about putting in the new high school. Oh my gosh, no, we don't need that. The kids are fine in these other schools. We don't need all this. Well, you know, the high school was an investment in our community. I graduated from ISU in 1986 with a bachelor's in both elementary education and early childhood education, and then I received my master's in 1991 in early childhood education. I own a business in Vermillion County. I own Creative Center Preschool. I started it in 1993. I invest in our children of our county. There's several here that came to my preschool that are now, there they are, they're all raising their hand. They're all now involved in their community, and they are our leaders. That's what I raise leaders. We also have Dirk's Auto and Tire that we started in 2017, which is again another investment in our county because we love our county. We contribute to the county tax rolls. I do not own farm ground. I own 5 pieces of property in Vermillion County. I have not signed a lease with anyone. This is what I feel. And I also volunteer, and not just a member of areas, I am active. I was an adult leader in the Boy Scouts of America. My son is an Eagle Scout. I am the current president of the Clinton Lioness Club that invests in our county. They work hand in hand with the Clinton Lions Club. I am part of the Union Hospital Clinton Guild member. I volunteer. And the hospital was an investment in our community to see it grow. I am one of the co-directors of Halloween on 9th Street, which is a volunteer, another volunteer. We get no money from the city or surrounding areas. It comes out of our there's 5 ladies that do it, and it comes out of our pocket. I'm also one of the co-directors of the Christmas on 9th Street. I'm part of Tri Kappa, which invests in the education of our county. I'm a past president. I also work with Lyft. I was a past Queen of Grapes. I helped with the Queen Contest, the tea, the entertainment area, you name it, I've been there, part of this county. I also invest in education by giving 2 scholarships to area students. The first one is Creative Center Preschool Scholarship, and started in 2007. I've given over $3,500, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for me it is, to the students in this community because I want them to stay and grow and learn. I started 2 years ago giving another scholarship. This is the Archie Paleto Scholarship, and it will go on because we made an investment, and we will keep doing it until there's no longer a school, maybe because of low enrollment, because we don't have anybody coming into our community. My uncle, my great uncle, worked in the coal mine. That brought a lot of people to our area. And now the coal's all gone. How many coal mines do we have in Vermillion County right now? It's not here anymore. I stayed here because I love this community and invested in the county with 2 businesses. I have 2 children. One has been able to stay and find a job and still live in Vermillion County. The other had to move to Indianapolis because he could not find his type of work here. But he comes back and he's still involved in our county because he loves it. I have some pictures down here of the Foltz family. They came, let's see, Luther Gideon came to Vermillion County in 1897, and he married into the Ike family. The Ikes had property in Vermillion County, and that property's been passed down. We don't own the property, but we are part of that generation, and they're all here in pictures. They invested in Vermillion County just like we need to. Thank you. I have 4 seconds left.
Thank you. Who's next? Brian, come on.
My name is Brian Strom. I live in Helt Township, Vermillion County resident. I've thought a lot about this, and I wasn't going to speak because I've been in fire and EMS for 25 years here in the county, and I thought it would have negative effects on my fire department if I spoke, but I can't sit and let this go. I worked at Newport Chemical Depot for 10 years. That place shut down. We continue to lose jobs every year in Vermillion County. And I think that we need to look at the big picture here and think about the future and future growth for Vermillion County. If we don't start bringing stuff in that's going to help and promote businesses, we're just going to keep dwindling down like we have over the years. I've seen towns like Dana go to where nothing's there, towns like Newport since I've been a kid here, and I also am a union teamster. I work construction. I've worked on these wind farms up north. I've been in when they've started them. They take care of the people's land. They do a good job. They really improve the roads for the county, and I've seen them pave little towns that have like 2 or 3 streets in them because that's what they promised to do. I don't know that this is the best thing for the future as far as energy sources, but I'm willing to give it a try. I want my kid that's 19 years old to stay in this county like I have for 40 years, and if we don't ever change, we're not going to grow. And everybody in Vermillion County is so against change. Oh, we can't change. We can't do this. They've constantly shot down businesses over the years that wanted to come to Vermillion County and bring jobs. And right now, I'm driving 2 hours to Martinsville, Indiana to work on the I-69 project. Do you think I want to drive that far to work? I don't. I want to work local if I can. There's no work local. Not in Vigo County, not in Vermillion County, not in anywhere. Any union workers are having to go work out of the area, and I would like to be local, and I'm willing to change, and I don't think if the commissioners and the council keep shooting down everything that comes to Vermillion County, we're never going to grow. We're just going to keep going down. Our kids are going to move away. Do I own property around where these windmills are? Absolutely not. But I'm willing to try for change. And if we aren't willing to change, we're never going to grow. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Nancy Towner?
Hi, I'm Nancy Towner. I am a property owner and have been since 1968. My husband and I live in Eugene Township, just 1 mile west of Eugene. I've heard people talk about the illnesses, the things like that. I'd like to talk about that from a semi-personal point of view. I have a family member with 2 windmills on their property in the Rankin, Potomac, Armstrong area. And I also have other family members that live in the area, but they do not have them on their property. I have been to my sister's home on more than one occasion, obviously, and throughout the various seasons. In visiting her, not once was our conversation ever disturbed by the noise that came from those windmills. She had 2 on her property. One, I would guess, was probably maybe within that 1,000 mile, if not a little bit less. She also spoke about, someone spoke about the illnesses, etc. My sister never once complained about that, nor do the other family members. I have a lot of friends in that area. I just retired a year ago for 30 years as a tax advisor. I had several clients in that area who had these wind mills on their property. In my conversations over the years, because this was when they first went in, and again, I was 30 years as a tax advisor, not once did any of those clients ever say to me they wish they hadn't done that. It was not always for a financial incentive. That was not the reason they put them in, but it was instead because they knew it was progress coming. Not once did any of them ever say in my 30 years of knowing them that they wish they had not done that. And I've heard someone talk about progress and change. When my husband and I bought the property in 1968 from my husband's grandmother, she told me of the stories and the fuss and opposition that went on when the High Line went through. I have one of those sitting on my property. There was all the scary story of this will happen and that will happen. One of them sits on my property. Change can be scary, but I would rather have a windmill on my property. And by the way, I'm ready. I'll sign up. I would rather have that on my property than have them dig for coal. There was a coal once dug on our property, so we have to have that extra insurance for in case my property or my house should sink into a pit. But I would rather have a windmill than a big hole in my ground. I am for them. I would happily sign up tomorrow if they show up. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right. Who's next? Sir? Yep.
No.
My name is Jim Alton. I'm from Newman, Illinois. Live just outside of the footprint there. People have different ideas about this. That's fine. The only thing I want to do is mention to this group, which I've mentioned to other groups, precautions that should be taken regardless whether you have it or not. I'm the person referred to who got the email to Mr. Allen and offered me an option. On June 1st, 2018, there's a large county board meeting. With the meeting was information. I wasn't there, wasn't aware of it, wasn't involved at that time. On June 6th, I got the email saying, we'd like an option on your land for possibly lay down yard or maintenance shed. Okay, I was interested in it, why not go ahead? I got the option, and the option was a really great amount of money. It's over $20,000 an acre for 13 acres on the highway. But it said that I would have to support them publicly, privately, vocally, with a letter, and I could never speak against them privately or publicly. I didn't take it because I'm sorry, I'm not going to limit my speech. They did go ahead and build it 4 miles north of my property, but it made me kind of wonder why I was given the option in the first place. Okay, we're looking at this, the things we did not have, that you've had the commissioners look at. An unredacted safety manual. We have a safety manual that's black all over the place. I have a problem with it not having an unredacted safety manual. The size, number, and site of every turbine should be designated before any application is accepted. They didn't tell us anything until well after. I mean, there was no time at all, and our county board was weak. They were, I think, compromised. This is simple. You would not give a building permit to somebody, say, here, yeah, go build this, without knowing the size of the building, where it's going to be located on your property, or anything else. That's absurd. But these people think that you should be able to just put them anywhere you want afterwards. That needs to be done. Your setbacks must be ironclad. I don't care what size you put them in. There's a lot of information on it. Decommissioning, spell it out completely. Decommissioning should be 100% guaranteed on these projects. Right now in Douglas County, we have about because of our county board, we have about $200,000 per turbine. They're $450,000 taking them down at this time. And remember, anytime they come in, they're going to be going over the same roads, have the same turnarounds, have everything done to the roads you have. It's not going to be a one-time thing. It's supposed to be green energy. I think 100% of the material should be recycled. It's not enough to say, hey, we're working on the blades, you know, we might get them done. Do it before you put them up. I'm not saying they should or should not be put on place, but it's green, recycle it. Payments, they're basing on property tax. You have no guarantee that property tax will be used later on unless you spell it out in your ordinance that these payments are guaranteed, not because of the property tax, but because you're paying them. It's very possible that federal or state could say, you know, these suddenly are not taxable. As a matter of fact, in New York, around Watertown, EDPR put a lawsuit in that they wanted to conserve personal property because they could be moved. Well, anything can be moved. You need to look at the security of the people of Vermillion County. If they're going to be here, these things should be absolutely done. I don't know who's representing you in regards to the commissioners of that, but if they have any tie to any wind, they should not be used. You wouldn't pick a lawyer, you wouldn't pick your wife's divorce lawyer to represent you. Farmers, the impact goes way beyond that little bit of land. Compaction on these cranes is amazing. You're going to lose that land productivity for a long, long time. Consider that. Health issues, I'm not going to go into them. They're both sides of it. And believe me, I know one side of it personally, and it's not psychosomatic people. I know it. Protect yourself and verify. I'll tell you this, we have not had one job created in Newman, Broadlands, Alton, or any small communities around. Job creation depends upon the city first. They're the ones that do it. We do not have one job in Newman. We have one person working at the wind farm in the county of Douglas, and he was brought in from somewhere else. He lives in Mill Grove. If you want to create business, you need to do it. Not going to go into climate change even, but you know, the people who are pushing climate change are the ones who are building mansions by the seashore. Well, that is your problem. How likely will we have permanent jobs? Very unlikely. If you want to talk to me later on, there's a number of other things I'd like to talk to you about.
All right, who's next?
We haven't had the second voted it.
Shirley?
I'm Shirley Downs. I used to live in Cayuga. I'm out in the country of Dana now. I was told, well, we were told Tuesday evening that if we spoke against having the turbines put up, that we were speaking against our children. And those of you from Cayuga know I love my kids. I had the opportunity to teach at North Vermillion for 13 years, and I would give my life for them. I haven't had the opportunity to meet the kids in Dana, but I would do the same for them. So I'm not speaking against any of our kids in Vermillion County when I'm taking a stand against the turbines. Somebody spoke about building a high school and people are against that. Building a high school is not going to cause health issues. I was asked Tuesday evening where I got my information. Well, my information, most of the part of it, I have got from Jerry Punch and Richard James in regards to the infrasound, the noise that you cannot hear, and then there's decibels that you can hear. But the health issues come from the decibels or the infrasound that you cannot hear. There have been many, many studies, and I know he referenced the Canadian study, but he did not state that the Canadian study was not reviewed by peers. Whereas PeerPoint and other many studies have been reviewed by peers over and over and over. So that's, and also saying, and I love you, I can't remember your name, Nancy, yes. You have been dear to my heart for years. So when I say this, I'm not saying this against you, okay? They sign the lease, they cannot speak against it. If you're doing their taxes, you cannot say, I don't like those turbines there. They are not allowed to say that. And again, it's been stated that overseas, they've had turbines for years and years. They have. And they've had health issues for years and years to where nobody will listen to them.
John Michael.
That's okay, because it's not, you represent yourself, whoever you are. And we are all here together as Vermillion County family. And we want to do what's best. I'm not being disrespectful when I ask the board this, but when I would ask where you live, many of you had said 4 different words, or the same 4 words. And can you guys tell me what those words are? Where you live, where the turbines are going to be. What are the 4 words that you continue to say? It will not, no, 5 words, affect me. So when you're really thinking about this, please think about us. And farther in the study, it says the setbacks should be no less than 1.5 miles. 2 miles would even be better for the health and safety of the people. The heart issues somebody was asking me about, that was from a heart cardiologist. And his name is Ben Johnson. And just a short quote from him. The annoyance and sight or heard pulsating wind turbines create an adverse effect health. This, combined with direct effect sleep disturbance, may activate the body autonomic nervous system to increase sympathetic mediated responses with endocrinal sequences. So some people they have a nocebo effect, but again, the nocebo effect cannot really be validated because the people are not allowed to speak out. They have a clause that they're not allowed to speak out. And I'm not addressing that to you, young man. You did a great job the other night. Please don't take it offensively. There's others that have said, the same thing. But it says increasingly activated risk factors that promote adverse cardiovascular consequences may then facilitate enhanced cardiovascular disease. Most easily named as hypertension, arteriosclerosis, I can't say it, ischemic heart disease, and stroke. So my question is, it's family. Are you willing to put it in your family, 1,000 feet, for where if there's an emergency and the turbine people that are there, they have to get away from 1,600 feet. They are not allowed to stay there. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Who's next? Come on.
Hello, my name is Chris Pate. I'm from Dayton, Indiana. I've discussed with the board several times about my concerns about Vermillion, clear skies, the health effects from the infrasound, the contaminated water. I've frustrated my point out my concerns. But I did want to share this. You want to look out that every day instead of your beautiful sunrise or sunset. You want to see that. You want to see the shadow flicker of it. You want to hear the noise. I don't. I know I don't. So with all the other things I've been through already with you guys, I found an interesting article on the Wall Street Journal I'd like to read real quick. Okay. International Energy Agency, the world's premier source of energy information for governments, has entered the political debate of whether the United States should spend trillions of dollars to accelerate the energy transformation favored by the Biden administration. You know the plan for more clean energy, far less carbohydrates, the oil, the gas, and the coal that supply 84% of the energy in today's world. The IEA's 287-page report released this month, the role of critical mining in clean energy transition is devastating for those ambitions. A better title would have been Clean Energy, Not So Soon, Not So Easy, and Not So Clean. The IEA assembled a large body of data about a central until now largely ignored aspect of energy transition. It requires mining industry and infrastructure that don't exist. Wind, solar, and battery technologies that are built from an array of energy transitioning minerals, ETMs, that must be mined and processed. The IEA that with a goal of energy transition like the one President Biden envisions demands key energy minerals, lithium, graphite, nickel, and rare earth metals would explode to rise 4,200% respectively by 2040. The world does not have the capacity for such a demand. As International Energy Agency observers, although Belgian bureaucrats, there are no plans to fund, build the necessary mines and refineries. The supply EMTs is entirely aspirational, and if we're pursued at the quantities dictated by the goals of the energy transition, the world would face a daunting environmental, economic, and social challenges along with global political risk. The IEA stipulates up front the underlying fact that advocates the transition never mentioned green energy machines are often far more critical minerals than conventional energies. A typical electric car takes 6 times the mineral inputs than a conventional car. Onshore wind turbines plants require 9 times more mineral resources than that of gas-fired power plants, says this report. Since 2010, the average amount of minerals needed for new units of power generation capacity has increased 50% as the share of renewable energy has risen. That was merely to bring the wind and solar to a 10% of the world's electricity. 50% increase, 10% gain. IEA notes, ironically, that the transition is shift from a fuel-intense to material-intense energy system. This means shifting away from liquids and gases to extract and transportation, leave a very light footprint on the land, and are transported easily, cheaply, and efficiently to a big footprint mine. The energy-intense transportation, massive amount of rocks and other solids, and subsequent chemical processing and refining. So it doesn't sound clean, doesn't sound cheap, doesn't sound green to me. So let's talk not cheap. Government subsidies, production tax credits, investment credits. This is from the Institute of Energy Research. Wind power is not a new technology, it's been around for centuries. In fact, according to the Energy Information Administration, EIA, federal subsidies for wind industries could increase tenfold in a 3-year period. Between 2007 and 2010, wind generation increased 175%, increasing from 0.8 share of generation in 2007 to 0.23 in 2010. To get there, the government spent $5 billion of our taxpayers' money. For every megawatt an hour of wind energy generated, the taxpayer paid $56 compared to 64 cents of coal-fired natural gas. In 2016, wind subsidies totaled $127 billion. So with all that, I got more, but so you want Vermillion County to pay for wind turbines. We don't want, pay to maintain them, deal with adverse health effects, and pay more for electricity. I don't even see why we're here.
Thank you. Who's next? Okay.
Read too slow.
That's tall. Can you guys hear me? First of all, I would like to say that I never thought I would agree with anyone wearing a Trump Pence hat, but 1,000%. This is fantastic. I feel great about our future. I would just like to say, and then I'm going to leave you all, because my name's Crystal Wake. I'm a lifelong citizen of Vermillion County. I don't have the problem with land ownership, other than my little quarter acre that my house sits on, or I would gladly take a windmill. I happen to find them beautiful. I marvel. Every time I drive through Kansas, I just marvel. It's like seeing the Hoover Dam or something. It's just so, it's such a testimony to what man can do. I don't know. So, also, if we want to talk about, I don't want to see it, oh boy, I could stand up here all day and tell you some things I don't want to see. And you're not going to like it either. I don't like diesel trucks. How about that? I research and argue for a living. It's what I do all day, every day. And so I get a little bit irritated when I hear things repeated over and over that simply aren't true, that aren't factual based. And so I'm just going to tell you what I know about a couple of those things. One of them I have heard no less than 3 times from Mr. Allen.
Right here.
And the other guy, about how you're going to sign away your rights to speak and all that. I don't know who in here has seen a contract from Apex. I have. I'm a legal writer, so I understand them. I would still suggest you get a lawyer. There is absolutely nothing in these contracts about not being able to speak. That may have been true there, and I truly appreciate you all, providing us with these cautionary tales, because that's how we go forward. But please, please, don't make it impossible. Let people decide for themselves. You don't have to sign a contract. You don't want it on your property? Fine. But don't deny everybody else the opportunity because of restrictions that are going to keep it from happening in the first place. That being said, okay, your neighbors, yes, Shirley, I wouldn't want to subject you to it even if I wanted it on my land, okay? Maybe there could be something that if I want it on my land, but I've got to get permission from you because it's going to affect you as far as the setbacks. I don't know. You guys can figure all that stuff out. And the last thing I want to say is, one of the things I do, and I'm not sure a lot of people do this, but whenever I hear things that I hadn't heard before, and they go against what I believe, I look them up, and I read about them. And I heard something that bothered me at the meeting on Tuesday, and that was somebody saying, we need food, we're going to put this on our farmland, we need food, how are we going to plant food? Ridiculous. You can still plant food. What I have here is a longitudinal study from the University of Iowa where they grow corn and soybeans just like we do here. When I say longitudinal study, I mean this started in 2009, it ended in 2019. For 10 years, these people are gathering data. Okay, they're not just guessing, they're not just reading crap off the internet, they're gathering data. They're using the scientific method. And in fact, not only did they find it helped the crops, okay, and I can tell you it was a patch the size of 3 football fields out in the middle of a wind farm, and they monitored it, like I said, for 10 years. They found that, I'm not going to get the science right, but something about the air pushing the carbon and the whatever. The plants actually grew better. Not only is this a peer-reviewed report, every other report I read, not every, but almost all of them quoted this report. Also, the guy put a link at the end of it with his own name. You can tap right on that link and talk to him. So, and he's a professor at the Iowa State University. And I say that because that worried me too. All I've ever seen is cows wandering along, wandering through the windmills. They looked happy.
All right, Chris, you got 28 seconds left. Now, come on.
I'll give it to you.
We're not sharing minutes tonight. I can't even get my phone to stop. Hold on.
My name is Sam Natale, and I am clearly for the wind turbines. I've lived in this county all my life, 18 years, and I was raised by an amazing mother, amazing father, and recently I just graduated from South Vermillion High School, and I'm attending Indiana State this fall. The future of Vermillion County really depends on these wind turbines. I have personally been up to the wind turbines up north. They look perfectly fine. In my opinion, a lot of you may not agree with that, but that's just my opinion. The future of our children, and really what's going to bring more to our county is these businesses looking that we have clean, renewable energy for them to use, for them to obtain and bring bigger business to our small community. Of course, this will create more jobs, more opportunities for the younger generation. I'm speaking for me, Dom Hansen. I went to high school with him. He's now a sophomore. He's an amazing kid. I want to see him excel in the future by just having a quick, easy job right around the corner and not traveling 2 hours to go work at some other company. I don't really have any much else to say, but I'd just like to thank you guys. And
Thank you, Sam. It is good seeing the young people in our community having their opinions shared here tonight and everyone being respectful. I do appreciate that. We're going to hear from Dominic now.
You guys hear me better this time? Yes. Okay. So I want to start out, I usually focus on one certain topic, and I plan to, and today I'm going to focus on birds. From an article from eagles.org, I consider this a biased article. You can consider it what you want. It quotes, "Since the diets of bald eagles is primarily fish, when wind turbine developers begin wind farms, which is a form of agriculture, most likely they will be placed on our coast or near bodies of water. Henceforth, the mortality rate will skyrocket." So, yeah. I like to say there are many things wrong with this statement. For one, if we were building the primary amount of wind farms on farm ground, the eagle death rate will not plummet. On top of that, wind turbines don't even kill even close to what other man-made and non-man-made objects do. For example, in a non-biased article, BusinessInsider.com, from directly the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the following graph clearly shows that turbines kill 234,012 birds per year, which sounds like a lot, but hold on. I want you to think we have 52,000 turbines in the USA. Then our turbine bird death per year, this is more statistical, there's a lot of math here. It's 4.5 birds killed per turbine. It's getting better. Continuing building glass, vehicles, poison, electrical lines, and cats kill a combined total 3,311,000,000 deaths per year of birds. Compared to wind turbines, it's a 63,673 times increase. That's a bigger number. That's facts directly from the most reliable source, our U.S. Government Fish and Wildlife Service. There are 316,000 bald eagles in America. In total, there is 7.2 billion birds in the USA. For every eagle, there is 22,785 other birds. So after doing the math, first I have some stuff for the commissioners, not the commissioners, APC board chiefs. So after doing the math, around 10 or less eagles are killed over a wide span of 52,000 turbines, plus with recent technology. The math shows in an article from rechargenews.com that wind farms now have smart cams that help protect the eagles from running into the blades of the turbine when they spin, which causes an 82% decrease in fatality of eagles. So if we take 10 per year and we use that 82%, it drops to 1.8 eagles are killed per year by a turbine, which we went from a huge amount of deaths to around 1 or 2, which I bet more eagles are killed by poachers, so we should be more worried about poachers. So the claim it will kill half our county's eagles is highly inaccurate. We would be unlucky enough to see 1 death in 100 years. To be honest with everybody, I just love my school, my county, and I want to see the best for it, and this is the right direction. Go green, go home. I mean, before I end though, one of my family members heard I was speaking tonight and sent me this quote. It's by John Adams, and he states, "Facts are stubborn things, and whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, or the dictates of our passions, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence." And that's John Adams. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Donna. We heard you very well tonight. Great job. You know, we can do it another night this week if you want. No. I'm ready to stay home.
First of all, good evening, everybody. My name is Bill Cottrell, and I'm a retired state conservation officer from Illinois, right across the line. So after I heard some of his numbers come to play here, I figured maybe I better speak with you a little bit about what this does to the wildlife. Now, I don't care if you want these or you don't want them. It's a personal decision based on if you're a property owner. I am a property owner here in this county. Again, everybody has to make their own decision. But with that being said, I always came over here to see the eagles because we just didn't have them over on the other side of the line. Plain and simple. Now that they're making a comeback, that's a great thing. We have them in Illinois. I see them daily. And the simple fact that you have a nesting area over here, a place where you can actually go see something like that, it is amazing. The t-shirts that I've seen out here, the Vermillion County landscape, the reason I bought property in this county was just simply because of how beautiful it is. And that doesn't mean, you know, that again somebody wouldn't be for them or against them, but what I can tell you when it comes to wildlife, especially birds, these things are killers. They're killers. I've personally picked up over 500 brown bats at one site in Vermillion County. It was over a 3 to 6 month period. They are cataloged by scientific research permit. These companies have to take possession of these and store them in freezers and wait for us to take possession of them. I've picked up pheasants, I've picked up owls, I've picked up numerous songbirds. Again, we don't have the eagle population over there, so I can't speak to that. You know, sometimes if things sound too good to be true, then maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know how long these things are going to last. I've had to live with them over there. I've heard the good, the bad, and the ugly. My experiences has been, I've seen them come apart. I've seen them picked up. I've seen them rebuilt. I've seen the areas built to bring them in. Then I see them go back in and tear these areas out and repurpose the gravel or the rock somewhere else. It's to each their own. I mean, it's one of these things, if you think that it's going to fit for you, then maybe. Personally, you know, in my opinion, I don't want one on my place. That doesn't mean that the neighbor can't have one. We all pay taxes. Everybody has the option to have them if they want them. But when it comes to the wildlife side of these things, you know, those numbers sound great. But how do we know how many eagles it's gonna kill until we actually have them here? You know, we don't. How's it gonna impact the Indiana brown bat till it's here? We don't. I can tell you over there, it's pretty devastating. That information, I'm sure, can be FOIA'd through the Illinois Department of Natural Resources. And will Indiana DNR regulate that here? I have no idea. But it is something to take note of. And it affects our ecosystem. It affects the way things will work and how your wildlife will continue. So,
I'm sorry, just because you're a professional in this field, do we have the numbers?
retired, by the way.
Right. Do we have the numbers of animals, you know, displaced from their habitats or killed by these other sources?
No, I have no numbers like that. The only number that I ever had was a number that I was ordered to go with our agency officials to pick up these animals.
I love bats.
Yeah, they're, you know.
It's always an issue.
Yeah, again, when I seen the numbers that were there, this was never given to the public. Nobody else ever knew about it. I didn't know that this happened this way till I showed up on site and went through their freezers and then went through their catalog and actually carried giant garbage bags to the back of my truck and loaded them with over 500 of one species. And that's probably when it hit home for me. And that was 3 years ago. These have been there for a long time now in Vermillion County, Illinois. What are the numbers today? I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. But when you're picking up hen pheasants, which we have a real problem, I'm like anybody else probably out here. I like to pheasant hunt, I like to deer hunt, I like to do a lot of things. But when I'm picking up hen pheasants that I don't see along the road from these windmills, it really makes an impact on me on how are we reestablishing this species in the wild when these things are killing them. And again, nobody would know any different. I wouldn't know it unless I was sent there. And it's just something, again, no disrespect to the young man with his numbers. Again, here, with the population of eagles that you have, I would find it hard to believe that if there's any windmills anywhere in this area that they won't impact your eagle population. So take it for what it's worth. It might be something that you also look with the Indiana Department of Natural Resources on how they're going to regulate this and keep tabs on it. If these things are good for 20 years, we see a 6-month impact. So it is what it is. Thank you. Thank you.
Who's next? Anybody? Okay.
I walked too slow back.
Hi, my name is Cindy Pyle. I've been a resident in Vermillion County most of my life, and I am against the wind turbines. Too loud?
No, you're not too loud.
All right. I know some people have been accused of being paid to speak against. I think we should take those people's opinions into consideration because I think they've had a lot of valid points and they have sworn that they were not paid to speak. I have some things to say for the farmers or the landowners. Please don't just consider money. It's not the only thing you should consider. Please research and get your facts. There have been many lawsuits against Apex, and that's the same company that wants to build right here in Vermillion County. So I would advise you to get an attorney and know exactly what you are signing word for word. For the board, I would like to make some suggestions on the setbacks. I personally think it should say 2 miles, but I think 1.5 would be a good compromise. The DBAs, I think, should be somewhere between 32 and 39, and I think it should state to be lower at night. When it comes to bird and wildlife studies, I believe that should be mandatory. We do have migrating whooping cranes, we have our eagles, we have osprey, we have all kinds of stuff. I think that needs to be mandatory, the study before the permit is issued. And I believe you said it was all things considered are from the property line, not the foundation. Is that correct? If not, I would suggest that, property lines. On page, it was section T, And it's discussing the fact that if they have to provide water tanks, if there's decommissioning or dismantling or some situation, I think there should be a time limit set in that paragraph. Also a time limit for a revegetation plan, which I believe was on page 11. Also, it mentioned dust control, and I wondered if that was just with water only, or if they spray chemicals on the ground on those roads. When it comes to section Y, where it mentions property value guarantee, it says that people within 3/4 to 1 mile of the turbine need to be notified. I suggest that be 2 miles, because I think you can see these things from 2 miles away with no problem. And if I'm within 2 miles, I would like to know if my property value is going to be affected. Some of the problems which everybody has mentioned already is the audible and the inaudible noises and the health issues. We need to seriously consider that. The threat to the wildlife, as the gentleman just mentioned. And wind is also unpredictable, and so is solar. I mean, come on. They're very inefficient and they're limited to what they can do. I personally believe they're eyesores and I don't like them. They do occupy land that I believe crops should be planted on. As far as their carbon footprint, you know, with the maintenance, the production, the transportation, the oil and all of that, they're not that green. They're not that green. And they're not completely recyclable. Yes, they're working on that, and that's fantastic, but for now, they're not. And will we be, when they're decommissioned, will those blades be staying in Vermillion County, or the parts that may not be recyclable? Does anyone know? Also, there's the red light issue, the blinking, the shadows, all of that. All of this needs to really be considered. And do they require backup energy when they're not working and not producing? On solar, you know, our biggest draw is in the evenings when there's no sun. Is solar really going to help out a lot then? What do you do when the sun's not out?
It's forward.
It's my 5 minutes. Thank you. I guess that's what I have to say. So if she'd like to continue, that's fine.
Do I have a 20 seconds? You've used it over 2 people.
All I want to say is support that. Also, since you brought up the lights, I received a call today about the lighting system that we spoke about on Tuesday evening that originally we'd had in the ordinance about the lights would only come on when an aircraft is nearby. And I've been told by some local pilots that their aircraft would not activate them because they flew such a small plane. I've reached out to some other people on a recommendation, and I've heard back that they should. Their question was how close they would activate was their concern. So I'm waiting to hear back from a couple of officials to let me know that. So that could be an option to put back in the ordinance, because that would resolve, I know, several people's concerns with the lighting issue. So I will research that. I don't know that I'll have the answer back by Thursday, but I will shortly. All right, you next, sir?
David Pollard, Vermillion County. In that last meeting, I heard something about the height of these things from ground to 12 o'clock on the blade is going to be like 700 and some feet. But the tallest building in Indiana, not counting the spire, is 701 feet. These are skyscraping machines, man. They don't belong speckled around the county. I don't see how that's going to draw people in. I don't see how that's going to draw business in. You know, it's an industry. It belongs in like an industrial park or something of the sort. You know, like I said the other day, I went to Douglas County and I stood about 2,300 and some odd feet away from one of these machines. And that's too close. These setbacks need to be a little bit farther than that if they, you know, and the social impact. I'm already seeing like families being divided, friends being divided. It's not going to be good for the community. We need to build the community, not rip it apart. And I guess that's about all I got.
I know the other night there was some questions, and Caleb, God love you, but you speak in metrics, and we're all feet. Most of us around here are feet. And a gentleman made a comment back there as he was speaking about the 700 and some feet. Is it true from our conversations in the past, when the turbine's up, the blade's straight up at noon, the tip of that blade would be 700 some feet tall, roughly?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay.
In 5 to 6 years, I don't know, the technology could be totally different, it could be shorter.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of that, here in Vermillion County, they're being taller to catch the wind channel, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. Who else would like to speak?
Hi, my name is Barbara Phillips, and I'm a resident of Vermillion County. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the light issue, is one of my biggest concerns. And what was just suggested is that be part of the ordinance, that if they are supposed to go off in the night and only come on when airplanes go by, I think that should be included in there. I had asked one of the board up here for the map. They mentioned at the meeting 2 days ago that there was a map of some proposed sites. Now, I want to tell everybody in the room that I've been told that this map is not really where they're going to go. It was just something they had to give to the FAA to get that approval to go forward with that. But this is what the map looks like, and this is basically, I know it's not very big, but you can see the colors. The top of this page is the northern part of the county, the bottom is the southern part of the county, and this is where what they submitted to the FAA, that's where they are proposing that these towers would go. Here's an enlargement of that, and my house is right here. Now, Chris showed you the big picture of like, do you want to look at these windmills? Picture that at night, with every one of those having a red light flashing. And if that is where they're put, my house is going to be surrounded 360 degrees with flashing red lights all night long. And it's not just me. Chris lives down the street from me. The Holberts live nearby. They farm nearby. My next door neighbor. There are many houses right in this area that are going to be seeing these red lights flashing all night long. So, there's been enough said about the birds and the environmental, and I have some concerns about the health, but a lot of people have already talked about that. But the one thing that I haven't heard anybody say in 2 days is what's that going to be like? Our house is 28 miles from Newman, and I can see those lights in my bedroom window at night. And I looked at it, it's 28 miles. So what do you think it's going to be like if it's anywhere in this county, or if it's 2 miles from my house? Yeah, or if it's 3,250 feet from my house. And those of you who live here, the people who live in Clinton, no disrespect, but you're not going to see them. They're not in Clinton.
Amen.
Here's Clinton. Here's Cayuga.
Dana.
Twinkling stars.
Twinkling stars, yeah. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara.
Right here.
All right. You're sure, come on up.
I'm Kathy Ingram. I'm in Edgar County. Last 40 years of our life together has been very close to Vermillion County. We farm in Vermillion County. And I didn't speak Tuesday night because I was having heart palpitations, and it's really no better tonight. But, you know, just the lights. We go to church just south of Christmas, and they come on, and they're on, and our pastor's house is there. It's on all night long. That is a long way from Newman. It is. But they're there, and they are very annoying even for them. I cannot imagine what it would be like to have them just a few thousand feet from you. I just cannot imagine.
Yes, drive you insane.
Also, there were some Tuesday night. I was opposed to them, but after hearing some people talk Tuesday night, I'm so opposed. I do like the landscape here. I mean, I love Edgar County, Illinois. I love Vermillion County, Indiana, and we go for drives. I mean, this is where this is our life here, and we love the countryside. We drive all over the countryside in these two counties because we love it. It's beautiful. You people in Vermillion County, you have a beautiful county. You should be very thankful that you live here. Our daughter lives just south of Madison, Wisconsin. And to get to her, the best way to go is Route 39, right in the central part of Illinois. And we pass enormous wind fields, wind farms, every time we go. And there are, sometimes we've just made mental counts of the ones that are not working. Because they don't. It's not consistent. And back to Newman, we have a good farmer friend, been a good friend for 40 years, and he was in favor of it. He is not anymore. He said, I made a huge mistake. It's awful. I would give anything to redo this. And they're here, and there's nothing we can do. So advice to anyone in any other country is stop it. You don't want to live like this. I don't know. There's probably more to say, but I just, go talk to people that have them. Just go talk to them. Go look at the landscape. This, you talk 25 years maybe on this, then what? Then what? You have this enormous concrete thing to deal with that it sets upon. You have the roads getting in and out, and you think perhaps the wind farm people are going to take care of that for you? No, they're not. We have driven through wind farms that have been there for 20 years or so, 15 to 20 years. And they used to be, and I know because my husband used to sell seed corn in some of these areas, and we would go there. I would go with him to field days. And it originally just was beautiful, beautiful country, beautiful farm ground, beautiful farmland, homes, farmsteads, beautiful. They're not there anymore. And what remains are very dilapidated farmsteads because, you know what, they couldn't stand it. They moved out. And like the gentleman from Vermillion County, Illinois, last night was saying, it took him 3 years to sell his home, and then he got bare minimum for it. This is what happens. Your real estate property value plummets.
Thank you, Kathy.
Is there cool air coming out that door?
Hi, my name's Rhonda Hawkins. Okay, so I swore I wasn't going to talk tonight, but anybody that knows me knew that was impossible. One thing we've not talked about is jobs. Now, I was contacted this week and I was asked what Kim thought about the windmills. And actually, we have been fighting the government not to spend an exorbitant amount on reconstructing the jail, but we failed. But we all want a clean earth, but at what expense in jobs? If people can't live here and pay their taxes, because when dew goes out, I talked to somebody in the administration at the paper mill, and they said they have three options, and probably the most important one, or the one that they might have to use, is to take the paper mill out of here. And I told everybody, I'm compromised, my son works at Duke. So these last few speakers, because honestly, we have not researched it, we have been tied up with the jail. But they have really touched my heart, because I don't want somebody telling me that I have to live by one of these. And I was just telling Penny, my dad would be sitting on his back porch with his shotgun. And I'm a lot like my dad. So, like I said, we all want a clean earth. When we bought our house, there were solar panels on our roof, on the back roof. Now, this has been 40 years ago, and I'm sure they've come a long way since then. But they did not work, and we took them off. So, I'm sorry if I stepped on people's toes, but I'm telling you the truth. So, thank you.
All right, thank you for opening those windows too, by the way. We've got a little air movement going on. Who else would like to speak?
I'm Greg Ingram. I'm Kathy's husband. I'm not very aesthetic. I'm a businessman. We farm in Edgar County, Vermillion County, Illinois, and Vermillion County, Indiana. We have been bombarded by the salesmen from Apex, from the solar panel people, and our answer is always no. We make our living off this land, and we expect our two sons, we live in Edgar County, our two sons live in Vermillion County. We have grandsons that we hope farm this same land. The main issue that I want to talk about is our underground drainage tile, and both the solar people and the windmill people, these will ruin our underground drainage tile. In the state of Illinois, underground water has the same right as streams and rivers. But these companies, when you talk to them about this, they just get a blank look and change the subject. They're not going to fix our drain tile. When windmills are constructed, aerial application is no longer available in that area. We plan to spray our fungicide on our corn by a ground rig, but when it's years like last year when it was really wet in the month of July, and this year with the corn blown down, we won't be able to use it, so we're back to aerial application. Fungicide increases the corn. It's about 12, 15 bushel the acre. See the numbers there, I mean that's $75 to $100 an acre. These tile systems that we put in cost from $600 to $1,000 an acre, and I'm telling you, there are going to be a ton of lawsuits because we've talked to these people. The windmills want to put their pads like 4 feet in the ground. The drainage tile is 36 to 48 inches, 40 to 80 feet apart on these farms. The mains drain several hundred acres. And Mr. Pollard, I guarantee you there will not be any windmills across from your house.
Okay, Tom?
Good evening. My name is Tom Luft. I'm a lifelong resident of Vermillion County. I absolutely love this county. I've been involved in the Fair Board, so I got to know a lot of people at the north end. I'm from the south end, but I have friends, neighbors, acquaintances on both sides of the debate over being green energy. We're bringing green energy to Vermillion County. I respect both sides and understand each concern. This is an ordinance for Vermillion County, and I would strongly urge the APC and the Vermillion County Commissioners to put a heavy weight on the majority of our citizens from Vermillion County and not what our friends from across the border in Illinois are sharing. Many of the Illinois residents who spoke don't have wind farms in their counties, and some do. And the one thing I've got from the ones that do is we need to have a strong, solid ordinance so we can put wind turbines safely in Vermillion County, Indiana. To me, if you're going to listen to anybody from the outside, listen to the fellow that was here from Benton County. Those folks have raised millions of dollars, it sounds like, in revenue, benefiting the entire county, improved schools, emergency services, and local infrastructure. Like the gentleman spoke at the last meeting, we have the transmission lines already in Vermillion County, so let's use the resources that we already have that Duke Energy's paid for. Let's be progressive and go forward. In the short term, it'll bring a lot of jobs. It'll benefit hardware stores, restaurants, apartments, rental homes, and grocery stores will benefit greatly for 12 to 24 months with construction. My son works in the wind industry, and he does not work for IEA. He works for a company in California. Nathan's worked in small towns and communities just like ours. And like the gentleman spoke at the last meeting in Newman, that the folks didn't stay or eat in Douglas County. My son has been there. He's been welcomed in many communities and shunned in many communities. And quite frankly, he said, Dad, we live, eat, and spend our money where we feel welcome. So if that's the county we're in, if not, we'll go down the road. So many of my friends don't want to look across Hell Prairie and see wind turbines. And I totally appreciate that and understand. I live across the street from a water tower in Fairview. When I moved there 25 years ago, the first year, I thought, God, I got to look at this tower the rest of my life. Why did I buy this house? 25 years later, the last 24, it's just part of the landscape. I don't even know it. I think wind turbines will become the same in Vermillion County. I know they're taller, but I think it'll be part of the landscape. The wind noise, the wind decibels, I totally understand 40 decibels, but if you look at folks that live by Alenco, the Cayuga Power Station, and Cargill Grain, they've complained about noise for years, and I'm sure the decibels are over 40. I support wind energy, and I urge the APC to work with an outside professional to develop an ordinance that will not only allow development, but will ensure protection of all our residents. For our children or grandchildren in the road, make sure you've got good bonds and buybacks so we get rid of those cement pads everybody's talking about. Let's be progressive in this county. I appreciate your time for letting me speak. I'm not a huge landowner. My home sits on 2 acres in Fairview, Indiana, but I've got 1 open acre, and I'll put a wind farm in my yard if they come. They won't, but I'll put it there. I totally support wind and solar in the county and urge the APC and Vermillion County Commissioners to vote yes for change, vote yes to move the county into the future with green energy, and let's create hundreds of short-term jobs and maybe only 5 or 6 full-time, but we've got jobs in the county we don't have now. So if you don't remember anything I said tonight, remember one thing. Let's not only grow crops to feed America, we can grow power to feed the grid so we can have lights in our house every night. Thank you.
How y'all doing? My name is John Michael Major. I am a former county councilman here in Vermillion County. And I'd like to tell you I unequivocally support wind energy. I believe this is a tremendous opportunity that we should not pass up. We all know that wind energy is clean, it's renewable, it's effective. The Ernie Pyle Wind Project alone will generate enough power for 95,000 homes in Indiana. That's pretty impressive. If our county can be a part of something with such a great impact of Hoosiers, I'm all in. As a resident, this project makes financial sense to me. The wind farm will create jobs, which will bring in employees who will be customers at our local businesses, some who will make their permanent home here in Vermillion County. We need the support in our businesses, and wind farms will provide that. In terms of specific dollars, more than $30 million in local tax revenue will be generated during the life of this project. That can make a significant impact on our community. Some of it will go to schools, some of it will go to our hospitals, fire departments, and police departments. That money that we so desperately need to provide services to the residents in this county. We live in an area primarily focused on agriculture, and wind turbines allow farmers to lease their land and help keep that land concentrated on agriculture. I believe that our state's energy industry should rely on market forces to determine the most cost-effective, reliable form of energy available. Historically, Indiana has primarily used homegrown coal-generated energy because it was the cheapest. We had many coal mines here in the county. They're gone now. That's no longer the case because the coal mines are gone. According to the Energy Information Administration, our state is the 12th largest producer of wind energy in the United States with 2,940 megawatts and 20th in utility scale solar power with 279 megawatts. In addition to the environmental benefits, solar and wind are the fastest growing job category in the United States and provide Hoosiers and Vermillion County residents with high skill, high paying career opportunities that our young people so desperately need. Indiana's world-class infrastructure and workforce has gotten attention of this $70 billion with a B dollar industry. We cannot shut the door. There are wind farms already north of Vermillion County, I should say, which have proven beneficial to their communities. Benton and White counties, the first to host wind turbines, collected $4.3 million and $2.3 million respectively in 2019 property taxes from the local wind farms. Wind farms make sense to me, and they make dollars for our local businesses and our community. I hope you will join me in supporting the Ernie Pyle Wind Farm project right here in Vermillion County and grow American jobs here. Thank you.
Thank you, John Michael.
My name is Ben Hansen. I've lived here 20 years. I don't public speak like our 15-year-old does. He makes me look like a great father. So I was just taking a few notes. I'm kind of a loner. My wife always calls me when you coming home because I'm always hunting and fishing. It drives my oldest son crazy, but my youngest son, he absolutely loves it. So I've had 20 years of federal law enforcement. I grew up on a farm in southern Indiana. Over the last probably 35, 40 years, and I hate talking numbers, but we've done almost 1,000 acres of conservation for the honeybees, for the pheasants, for the quail. We're bird people. The people in the audience, if you knew my mother, she's a saint. She cried earlier today because she saw that same news about the state of Indiana, how you can't feed your birds. So we talked her off the ledge, and she's not going to feed her birds. But when I look at that stuff,
when I look at the solar panels and stuff like that, I don't necessarily like it, but I like what it stands for. To me, it stands for kind of just a change. And I think I sit there and think, years ago, is it perfect? No, I don't think it's perfect. But in the next 5 or 6 years from the research I've done, it's really, the vast improvements they're astonishing. Like they got Duke Energy's working on they have it out right now. I don't know if it's a pilot program or I don't know if it's actually in place. But they can stop these turbines. Here comes an eagle and boom, it stops. What's it going to be in the next 5 or 6 years? Like I said, it's not perfect, but my opinion don't mean nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've been able to provide for my family and work real hard and bust my ass. And I look at the decay in the community and stuff like that, and everybody's doing the best they can. And I've coached sports for like the last 10 to 15 years, and I watch all these little kids, and they tell me, I want something better. Is this the answer? I don't know. Is it a start? Oh yeah. So, that's all I got.
Thank you, Ben. And Allison, by the time we're done, we're going to have Ben doing public speaking.
No, I didn't.
It's okay, you did fine. Dominic's taught you well. So who's next?
Don's so much better than me. Shut. Stop it like that. Exactly how that should be taught. That's pretty much common sense.
My name is Nancy Allen. I'm one of the Illinois people that was invited over here to speak our truth. I live in Newman, Illinois, Douglas County. The only reason we're here is to tell you what we're living with post-construction and post-turbines online. Let me tell you, they're not as great as everybody seems to think they are. We live about 2 miles from the nearest turbine. We live on the west side of Newman. There's farm field. There's an array of probably 20 to 25 we can see out our bedroom window. They are 590 feet tall. The blades are, I think, about 256 feet long. They look like they're turning slowly. They are not turning slowly at all. When the lights are on, and because they are so tall, you don't just have one light, you have 2 lights on top of them when they're that tall. They blink towards our house. We have a neighborhood house back here. It bounces off their bedroom window. I can see it. When you go to the other side of our yard, because there's farm field on that side, there's a neighbor back here. It bounces off of there, and that's about 2 miles. There is such a thing, if you don't believe it, low frequency infrasound. It travels 6.5 miles or farther. I made a couple notes here because I wasn't sure what I wanted to say. So bear with me here just a minute. And as far as health issues, we have them in our family. I never had any trouble sleeping. They went online at the Harvest Ridge Industrial Wind Turbine Complex, excuse me, last summer. All of a sudden I couldn't understand why I was waking up at night. I was waking up every 1.5 to 2 hours, almost like clockwork. So I started taking a log of my sleep time, and from that moment on, it's almost the same thing every single night. That's the only thing I can attribute it to, is there's something pulsating, vibrating, there's something bothering me. I also wake up with band headaches, which are from ear to ear in the back. Never had that before, so we don't know if that's it. My husband has had cardiac issues that he never had the same way before. He has a pacemaker. His electrophysiologist says he's one of the most healthy heart patients he ever had. It's just the electrical system. Since they went fully online, he has had multiple issues of things going on that we're not sure what it is. We also can't prove that, but it is quite a coincidence. Talking about the jobs, again, there were no new jobs added in Douglas County whatsoever. The employment force came almost from completely out of state, out of county, and then we have these 2 people who work in the shed up on the Footprint Center, and they live out of town as well. And as far as being an ungrateful or a not welcoming community, that was absolutely not true. We had an altercation, a personal altercation with the EDPR representative and our granddaughter, who she harassed And our daughter, who's an attorney, finally went after her and said, if you don't stop it, this was a 12-year-old girl that she thought was doing something she shouldn't do as far as taking bulletin downs or whatever. That's where that started. So then she went after the mayor, which was my husband at the time, and then it went to the community because they said they're not welcome. That was not it whatsoever. We held no grievance against them. We weren't even fully against them. Our county board started all of this before we even knew they were talking about it. They were somewhat compromised, we learned later on, and it has gone from there. They now have some regret with what's going on. We have seen no money for our schools. We have seen no money for our fire department or our library yet. The road use agreement, we were told, was one of the best ones that anybody had ever seen. They are now going to take Douglas County into litigation because they will not repair their roads. We are still living with the roads that they tore up, and with all these rains, you should come see the pictures. I have an iPad full of photographs if anybody wants to see. Brother-in-law had a huge back colony in his barn about 3 miles south of Newman. They're gone. We don't know why they're gone. They've been there for years. He had a few come back this summer, but there have been bat kills, bird kills, blue buntings, turkey vultures. A lot of things are being found up underneath the turbines. If anybody would like to look at the pictures I have, we also have a member who's out there whose well is now showing signs of sludge. He had to change out his whole well system in his basement. Don't know if it's vibration, if it's tied to that. Never had a problem over many years. But there are a lot of problems you need to double check, and you can find anything you want on any website, pro or con, but you've got to read both sides. But we are living it, so I'm speaking to the truth of what we know in Newman. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Chris?
Good evening. I am Chris Andrews, a member of Health Township, and I'm here to talk to you guys tonight. Several new faces, several familiar faces. Don't really have a whole lot of new information. However, Penny, one of the things when I left the mic last night that you said that kind of struck me a little odd was you said that the lights on the towers, when I told you that my uncle said that they could be shut off. Okay, I was in Indianapolis, so I just flew in literally. Okay, so the lights can be shut off, and they also, you know, the farmers that I don't know that are sitting here tonight, my uncle participated in a wind project. It was called Cardinal Point. And in that wind project, they encouraged the farmers to retain an attorney to protect the rights of the farmers and the community, and as you know it. I can tell you, I was an Illinois resident when before I came here. I came here in January of '93. And yes, we do have a little bit of Chicago money that helped with the roads. However, what I can tell you is what I went home to was so much better than what I grew up with. The roads that we would consider the gravel roads where nobody lives on, you know, that we're constantly grading and we're trying to find money just to run the grader down, those roads are chipped and sealed. The roads where we have machinery going down, those roads are built like you wouldn't believe. Are they going to wear out? Probably so. Are the tracks on a tractor going to, you know, run on it and it's going to get hot? Probably so. But it takes having the right people in place, making sure that, you know, you have the third-party advisor to make sure that we're getting the ordinances right, that make sure that the farmers have their interests protected. I can tell you that in what I do, if you have Wi-Fi in your home, it will cause sleep disturbances. If you look it up, what do the radio waves in your home do? Do you have a Nest? Do you have one of those Google, hey Alexa? Those things do cause sleep disturbances. Those things do cause issues because it's an anomaly that's in your house. Okay, anything can cause problems. I can tell you that my well changed when we had the first earthquake, and let me tell you what, on the second earthquake, my well changed again. So is it the wind? Is it drilling? They might drill a well to take core samples, to see soil samples. Any good builder will, whether you're building a skyscraper or a wind tower. You're going to take a sample. But are they putting something down in the water that's going to contaminate the wells? No. And how is a pad for a windmill any different than your concrete basement? Because it's all concrete, right? I was approached, I went to a graduation party, and my son is a Rose Holman student, okay? And I actually had someone who had one of the first, I believe it was Accutech back then, in Dana, it was Keith Davis. Anyway, had some of his panels, and the homeowner come up to me and said, you know what, these things are past their useful life. Why don't Nate come up with a recycle project? Well, guys, come on, if we don't do something now, Duke's going offline. We've got to get energy here, because otherwise we're not going to bring in new big business to have the kids, to keep the kids once they get educated. You know, so okay, if my son decides to go and do a project on recycling solar panels, or we do a project on recycling the fiberglass back into concrete, because I know enough about the concrete world that they put fiber in it to strengthen the concrete. The concrete's only good as the rebar, but I do know they put fiberglass in concrete. So those are recycle things. So, you know, I understand and I get there's pros and cons. You go to church, you don't go to church. But the best part about this community, and I've seen it in Clinton, I saw it in Dana, not so much in my last 5 minutes because I've heard a lot of naysaying, but you know, giving the respect to everybody, to listen to both sides. The best thing you can do is make an educated decision. You know, you may not want it, you may want it, but at least make sure you got the right information. I can tell you also from online marketing, Google will search what you want. They attach to your demographics what you look up, what politicians you follow, and it will give you the information as to what you normally search for. So you either A, need to clear out your cookies, clear out your computers, or B, go to the library and pull it up in old black and white. That's about all I have. Guys, thank you.
Thank you, Chris. All right, who's next? I'll speak. Okay.
All right, hey, for those of you who don't know, I'm Riley Chu. My family just farmed straight west of here, Cayuga, Indiana. My family's been here for over 100 years. You know, honestly, I don't know where I stand on the windmills because this is such a dividing topic in the community. And I represent certain boards in the community and certain organizations. And, you know, I feel threatened to even take a position on this, okay? Because everybody's, you know, it's either you're for us or against us, and that's not going to work. And it's got to be open forum discussion. Now, as time goes on, and I do cost-benefit analyses for these windmills and stuff, I really feel like a lot of the revenue that we'll see from tax advantages of windmills and stuff, I think it'll get eaten up in reconstructing roads that could possibly be destroyed. That has me a little bit concerned. When I look at the community as a whole, and I look at projects that we've taken on, the first one I really think of is the Rise down here. Okay, we've taken that project on. We've been promised economic development from it. We've been promised careers and revenue, and just haven't delivered from that. What's the reason? There's a lot of red tape because we used to house VX gas down there. That's a nerve agent. We used it in the military and stuff like that. I actually remember as a kid having to be evacuated from North Vermillion Elementary School because we housed that down there. And you know, that always just sticks out in my head because is this a desperate attempt to have jobs, or are we going to build careers from this? And what are we going to be handing down to our grandchildren? It's just something to consider. Like I said, you know, I'm so torn on this just because I know so many people are for them and against them. I'm not going to carry water for both sides, but there's a lot of things to consider here. And the main reason we're here tonight is for this ordinance. If you don't like something, come talk to these gentlemen and try to get it changed. Or if you don't like something, come up here and say something about it, because this is our last line of defense. Okay? If they want to do something and we don't have something like this in place, it goes to the State House. All right? So, thank you guys for your time. Thank you for your outreach.
Thank you, Riley. Caleb's going to speak next, and this is our future generation, guys. Caleb, Riley, Kathleen, Dominic, the other young man. I mean, they're showing up, they're talking. And I'm glad that everyone's been here. We've had great turnouts at all 3 events. We had 60-some people at the first one. We had over 160 in Dana. I think tonight we're up to 75. I appreciate everyone taking time out of their lives to come here and voice an opinion or just listen and learn. It shows. I'm very proud of Vermillion County.
So my name's Caleb Nichols. Most of you might have heard me speak Tuesday night. I was going to talk to facts and data and technical things and got a little too personal. So tonight I'm going to talk about tax, technical things, data. So first I want to start off with the lights. I understand the concern, but all of these projects that folks have had these red light issues, most of them probably haven't been built within the last 2 years. It's been mentioned, Penny brought it up, that they're going to do some more research. It's called an aircraft detection lighting system. You may hear it called Aviation Detection Lighting System, ADLS for short. It's a new technology that's just come out within the past 2 years. I'm going to read a couple blurbs from a company called Terma. If the board wants to research that, they are the primary ADLS company in the country, TERMA. It says, once the aircraft enters the designated wind farm safety zone, our system automatically activates the necessary obstruction lights, turns them off once the aircraft safely exits the area. We make sure that the aircraft detection lighting are only turned on when necessary, i.e. when there is an aircraft in the vicinity of the wind farm. And then it goes on to talk about our proven radar capabilities within radar surveillance provide a competent solution for small target detection in all weather conditions. This means that small aircraft, helicopters, gliders, ultralights, and even small non-cooperative targets will be warned by the aircraft detection lighting. And for those who don't know what an ultralight is, it's a very small hang glider type of system, so if it's going to pick that up, it's also going to pick up crop dusters and things like that. So I've got some information I'll share with the board here too, but it actually, in another article I found from Terma's site, it says that it detects small aircraft including ultralights and birds in any conceivable weather condition. It's almost become industry standard to put an ADLS system on these projects. They're not really all that expensive. Honestly, I suggest we put it in the ordinance. I've seen plenty of ordinances, Morgan County, Illinois, Ford County, Illinois. They want an ADLS system. If we want to alleviate the concerns over the red lights flashing at night, I think this is the solution. And like I said, I think in the next couple years it's going to be industry standard that every wind farm is going to have one. Talk a little bit about recycling just real quickly. I brought this up Tuesday night, but GE and Vestas, who are the 2 biggest wind turbine manufacturers in the world, are in the process of testing and developing technology to recycle the blades on the wind turbines. Chris mentioned that it can be pulsed down and used in cement mix. Fiberglass is a great additive to concrete. At Rose-Hulman we have what we call the concrete canoe. We built a canoe out of concrete and we floated it on a pond, and we filled it full of fiberglass because it was very lightweight and we could stay afloat. So as far as the recycling goes, there is technology in development right now. There actually are contractors and developers out there working on technology as we speak. Talk a little bit about the noise. You know, I've got a couple charts here. This one here comes from GE's website. If you type in wind turbine noise, this is the first thing that pops up on Google Images. I'm going to try and not talk in metrics, 984 feet away from the base of a turbine, and most turbines are around 105 to 106 dBA. 984 feet away, the noise level is 40 dBA, which is a refrigerator, and I can sit in my living room and I don't hear my refrigerator at all. In fact, the other night at the firehouse, I'm guessing nobody even noticed the air conditioning unit or whatever it was in the back that was humming the whole time. After about 2 or 3 minutes, I didn't realize it was there. So, you know, talking about the noise real quick, I know that our county solar ordinance has been pulled for more review, but it does say 50 decibels, so I think that they should both at least align with one another. One should not be more strict than the other. And then the last thing, actually I'm not going to get to that. So there was concern over compaction issues. After the cranes travel from turbine to turbine, we will come in from behind with a dozer and we will decompact all that soil. It'll be returned back to its original condition, be able to farm over it. Last thing I'll say, there was talk of the roads, that all that tax revenue is going to go to fixing the roads. And if we have a solid road use agreement in place, the roads will actually get fixed as part of the project budget, so it won't come out of the county's tax revenue bucket. So, thank you.
On your research on the lights, how close does the airplane have to be to activate them?
I don't have the answer. I'll get that.
10 miles.
How many?
My uncle said 10 miles.
10 miles.
10 miles.
10 miles is what they use. They have the GE towers, and that
So Edgar County Airport's within 10 miles.
Well, that was one of the questions asked for me from one of the pilots I spoke to, and I said, I don't know. I'm doing research to find this out now.
He uses Google.
All right, thank you.
You can find anything on the internet, don't you know?
That I really don't know. That has to do with the radar, and from what I understand, the way the technology is evolving, I think the parameters are reset, because I think you can determine how far out it's on.
Hi, my name is Erin Holbert, and I'd like to start by apologizing. I prefer riding, planting beans, running 10 miles in 100-degree heat to public speaking. I was born and raised in Vermillion County, went to Purdue, and got a great job back in Vermillion County with that degree before leaving that job to go back to the family farm and also start a business of my own. I won't go into facts and figures on how green energy is not actually that green, or the height of the windmills, or the environmental impact, or any other factors. I love this county, and I especially love my hometown of Dana. I wasn't able to attend the meeting in Clinton, but attended the one on Tuesday in Dana and have been reading what people have been saying on social media. What I found most interesting is that the majority of people who are for the windmills don't live in the area where the windmills will be, and the majority of people who are against the windmills do. You say you'd put up a windmill right next to your house, knowing full well that that will never happen. We are the ones whose everyday lives will be affected, day to day, living, working, and farming. Every single person who has spoken in favor of them has a bank account or a family member with a bank account that benefits from them now or in the future in the form of their inheritance. And will that money be spent in Vermillion County? I've spoken to many people from all over the Midwest and during my time living abroad, and not a single one had anything good to say, whether they were initially for them or not. Their taxes did not go down, their schools did not see any extra money, and their communities did not see an improvement. What did happen was their community was split, and best friends and family no longer speak to each other. People at the previous meetings and on social media have said their kids didn't come back or don't want to come back because there wasn't an opportunity such as windmills, which I disagree with because I did come back and I started a business. But as a taxpayer of this county on the younger end of life, I don't want to live here if the windmills do go up. I am not against change or progress, and we've had opportunities in the past that would have actually provided jobs in this county that were shot down. I listened to people insult Dana and the intelligence of the people who live in Dana for having an opinion against them. Education, or how quickly you earned a degree, does not equate to intelligence. I'm passionate about this county and its future, and respect those who have a standpoint different than mine on this issue. But what it boils down to, in my opinion, is that there are a lot of things in this life more important than money, and greed is not worth dividing a community over. Thank you.
a few seconds left, and I left one of my most important points out. May I just, it's one sentence?
From right there.
Okay, our power being generated in Newman, Illinois is not even being used in Newman, Illinois. Douglas County is being sent to the East Coast. Maybe it's being sent to Indiana. You might ask Apex, where is, if any of that power is generated, where is it going? And on a side note, not one of those turbines were turning at all when we left the hot, sweaty building last Tuesday night. So there you go.
All right, thank you. Who's next?
I don't want to speak, but I did ask Apex on the island tutorial if the energy would come to Vermillion County, and they gave a generic answer. If it goes to the grid, we can't tell you where it really goes.
Okay, did everyone hear that?
Hi everybody, I'm Allison Hansen, and in full disclosure, I do work for IEA. I've been involved with the wind industry now for over 15 years. I think it's amazing the technologies that I've seen over the last 15 years and how the advancements have made things better. Things like the ADLS systems, and they're working to improve it every day. We are right now decommissioning let me back up. We're not decommissioning, we're repowering projects. So when this project is built and 20 years down the road, and you talk about what's gonna happen and these turbines are just gonna be abandoned, that's not accurate. A lot of times, if the county is willing, they will reinvest in the community. The construction companies will come back in, they'll take off the top nacelle and the blades, they will recycle everything they can, and because of new technology, those blades can now be recycled. We are doing it on projects, on repower projects right now. So if our county wants everything to be recycled, please put it in the ordinance. That's not going to deter Apex from developing here. And if that's something that this county cares about, then put it in. I also want to speak a little bit because I have sat silent the last 2 meetings because, quite frankly, I've been very disheartened because so many people that have worked for White Construction or tried to defend wind in this county have been harassed relentlessly. And I'm here to tell you that is wrong. I had someone say that our family was a sellout. And Caleb spoke to this last night, and I am a member of the White family. So for those of you that don't know, our company did grow too big. My parents were personally liable for every project we built. And we had so many projects coming so fast that we were winning that we couldn't take them. So if we wanted to grow our business, we had to sell it. And when we sold it, we did that so we could provide more jobs to people in this county and across the country. We don't want this project in Vermillion County. Like, it doesn't matter if we win this. It is it's one project. We win and lose them every day. We're White, not just White, but we're part of IEA, which is a $2 billion organization. This project won't make a difference. We care because we've seen what it does for communities. And I know that I've heard the people from Newman, Illinois. I would like to speak to you afterwards because I do have some input on what I think went wrong. And that's all the more reason why we must develop a good ordinance. And I have to tell you, I do plan on gathering my thoughts and sitting with Caleb and giving you a detailed list, but you really need to step outside. This is something that I don't believe you're qualified to do. We need to hire a consultant to come in who is non-biased and help craft an ordinance that allows development, but also protects these landowners. The decommissioning language needs to be precise. All of these things, ADLS lighting, decommissioning, all these things are very important. And if you get it wrong, it's wrong for years to come. And this is the first wind project, but there are other areas that could be interested in this county. I would love to have a wind turbine. If it's possible in my area, sign me up. I don't know that will happen, but it's not off the table. So this is the first one, and if we decide this is a huge disaster, then redo the ordinance. But for God's sakes, let's reach out to a non-biased professional and get it right the first time. I'm trying to think, I had so many things going on. I really just feel like, and I also encourage any landowner who gets a lease to sign it. I have personally seen the leases. In the leases that I have seen, there is no gag order. There is no commitment to support the project. I even went back today after I saw a post on Facebook and double and triple checked. So again, not every developer is the same. Not every county ordinance is the same. And that is what will make or break this county and this project, and what will make the feelings of all residents pro or against. And I know some people don't believe in renewable energy, but I'm here to tell you that our national legislation does. And now, if you remember right, Indiana is pushing hard. With HB 1381 they tried to pass last year. I'm going to finish this one thought. Because green energy brings jobs. I saw a statistic that said if we bring more renewable energy into Indiana, it will bring over 32,000 jobs to our state. Why? Because publicly traded large companies care about ESG. And for those of you that, I have lived ESG for the last year. It's environmental, social, and governance. And one of the #1 things that big companies want is the ability to purchase renewable energy. Look on Elanco's website. If on Elanco's website, their goal is to have all of their operations facilities powered by renewable energy 100%. Research.
Yes, sir.
You can go right ahead.
My name is Kirk Allen. I'd just like to start with a statement of, the mind's like a parachute. It works best when it's open. I've emphasized you need an ordinance. I agree totally. I can't find her in the crowd or wherever she went. I agree totally you need an ordinance. It needs to be a good one. And it needs to protect the interests that are being expressed across the board. And there's a lot of factors. Everybody shared those things. I want to address a couple things that have been concerns that we've identified. I believe success is nothing more than progressive failure. You need to learn from what others have been through. That's instead of going through the same problem, learn what they had and don't make the same mistakes. We heard people directly tied to the wind energy industry make claims there were no negative effects to humans based on the research, all while ignoring documented testimony of people who supported wind to later find out it had a very negative effect on them. I witnessed dozens of families where some spouses didn't have any problems whatsoever, but their wife or husband did. It affects everybody differently. It doesn't affect maybe 20%, 5%, I don't know what the number is, but there is an impact. We heard another employee imply birds are not getting killed because some guy he talked to in Washington had not found any in 6 months. For those that live in the agricultural area, do you know why you don't find too many dead birds or carcasses? Other animals eat them. Scavengers take care of dead carcasses. No dead birds? I guess the farmer in Douglas County that's been collecting them and speaking with Illinois DNR is in some fantasy land. Who's read the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021? And I'm glad you brought up legislation because there's big legislation coming from all over, a lot of it to take your rights away to do what you're doing here. That bill passed in 2020, it was 2,124 pages, actually signed into law in 2021. And from the Act, Wind Energy Technology Program, and sir, I'm glad you brought up the importance of that. If there was a problem, legislator needs to address it, right? Absolutely, I agree, 100%. Wind Energy Technology Program, I'll give this to the board. The hot link is on here. Paragraph A, types of activities. In carrying out the program, the Secretary shall carry out research, development, demonstration, and commercialization activities, including, paragraph 6, to reduce and mitigate negative impacts of wind energy technologies on human communities, the environment, or commerce. I'll read that again. To reduce and mitigate negative impacts of wind energy technologies on human communities and environments or commerce. Why would they do that? If there's no negative impacts of wind energy on that, they wouldn't need to do it. They've identified that they're wanting to reduce those impacts. The light technology is one of those ways to reduce those things. So keep an open mind and pay attention to the details. Paragraph X, technologies and strategies to avoid, minimize, and offset the potential impacts of wind energy facilities on bird species, bat species, marine wildlife, and other sensitive species and habitats. This is right out of the legislation. The devastation to birds and bats is well documented, and for those not aware, as spoken earlier, the Indiana brown bat is both a state and federally endangered species. It does live in this area. For anyone to try to imply wind turbines have no effect on birds, that's not the case. The facts are so well documented, it's unbelievable. We hear tax money. This is where my concern comes in, and this is based on what we're seeing in Illinois. Our legislature has not extended the property tax assessment. It sunsets in December. Here in Indiana law, for those that aren't familiar, you landowners that have them, make sure you pick up this form. That's your tax credit for having them on your property. You bet, you get a tax credit. That may mean you may not have as much tax coming into your community, but that's a variable determined down the road. In the Indiana state law, 6-1.1-12-29, paragraph C, the owner of real property or mobile homes that is not assessed as real property that is equipped with a wind power device is entitled to an annual property tax deduction. If they're getting a deduction, what is that deduction? I don't know. So get answers to those questions before you bank on you're going to have all this tax base. Indiana, and this is where it's really confusing, and I don't use Google, I use DuckDuckGo for the very reason whoever talked about Google. Absolutely, you can do two different searches and get completely different results. It takes work to do honest research. Indiana Office of Energy Development, the link is on this document. The state incentives that are currently listed on the website, quote, renewable energy property tax exemptions for any wind system producing electricity installed after December 31st, 2011, the assessed value of the system is exempt from property taxes. Now that doesn't make any sense based on everything that I'm hearing, but that's what it says on their website. The people on the phone told me, yep, that's accurate. Well, if that's accurate, where's the tax money coming from? Those are answers you need to find. Some of the other things, and I don't have time, how much time have I got?
Not much.
Okay.
7 seconds.
I'll give this document to the speaker, to the board. Currently, the wind investment credits and the production tax credits sunset in 2021. That's according to the legislation. Will it get extended? I don't know. But those are things you need to identify. Indiana has wind farms are public utilities by definition. And within this document is a 7 pages out of Forbes that has hundreds of reference sources of information to cover everything everybody's talked about.
Try to come up a couple of times. You beat it.
Hello, my name is Christopher Downs. And some of you guys from Cayuga probably know my grandfather, so when he said something, he don't care how many bridges he burned. And I'm the same way, I'll burn bridges, I don't care. Why are we doing this to Dana, as I say again? Why is there a lease with a gag order? I've been 14 years in the military, I'm a vet. When usually there's a gag order, there's something wrong. These people in Dana are being trampled on by people from outside, saying, you need this. This will bring in jobs. The power plant is closing. So when this gets built, it's going to provide what? Yesterday, a lady said 6 jobs. 6 jobs to keep these things going. Power plant has what, 50 people? Wow. That's a negative there. You just lost some folks. Now, this county does need jobs, but it needs manufacturing jobs. And everybody say, renewable energy. It's best, it's clean for the environment. Yay, pat themselves on the back. Woo. Takes 21 tons of raw earth materials, which is very pollutant. And it's not being manufactured here, I said it again, being manufactured overseas. And everybody's like, another thing, it's like, there's money to be made. Well, yeah, because the government's picking winners and losers. Now, this is a capitalistic society. But when the government picks winners and losers, it's called crony capitalism. The government picks who's going to win. Of course there's money to be made. And just not too long ago, when Indiana just tried to pass that law, they tried to take away our voice. Do you really trust someone from the state of Indiana in our own best interest? If that would have passed, then the company can eminent domain your land, take it, and maybe build something here. But it didn't. Thank God. We still have a voice. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Christopher. Lewis?
Five of the largest turbine manufacturers are in the United States, and there's over 500 facilities that
I'm Lou Perry from Dana, and I'm sure most folks here, if not everyone, knows I'm adamantly opposed to wind turbines. For a lot of reasons. The main reason is they're ugly. I don't want to look at them the rest of my life. My kids look at them the rest of their lives. There's nothing you can do about that unless you can design something to make them invisible. I don't want to look at them. I don't want to hear them. And I don't understand where they keep talking about all the jobs these wind turbines will create. As several people have said, maybe 2 to 6 jobs. There'll be several jobs for a couple of years for the construction, but permanent jobs, no. And as far as needing this electricity that they generate for industry in Vermillion County, that's totally false. That's somebody either doesn't know what they're doing or they're deliberately putting out bad information. The energy from this wind farm will go into the grid. It won't go to anything in Vermillion County. It may come back, but it may also go to New York, Florida, California, who knows. But it won't stay in Vermillion County. And as far as Apex, I got one statement about Apex, and that's all I'm going to say about them. I've said this before in a meeting, I think they're a disreputable company, and as evidence, they produced a false document for the FAA to get their whatever study they needed to study the safety of the turbines. Maybe everybody does that. Just because everybody does it doesn't make it right. It's still false. And I would like to encourage you gentlemen to, as far as setbacks go, from everything I've heard here tonight, and in Dana Tuesday, and in Clinton last week, these setbacks need to be a mile or more. And nobody wants these things that have to put up with them. And as far as the turning off the lights at night, anybody in Vermillion County, all you got to do is go outside and look up at night. There's airplanes flying over almost continuously. We will still have red lights on all the time. And as far as why do you have to have lights for an aircraft that's 35,000 feet in the air? I don't understand that either, but that's the way it is. Would it be okay with you gentlemen if I do a little poll? Won't take long, just to ask a couple of questions.
Town hall, you have.
Okay, thank you. All right, how many people here are pro wind turbine? Raise your hand, please. Okay. How many of you stand to benefit financially from a wind project if it comes here?
All of us.
And I know there's one person here who has already, but no hands?
Everyone is.
Okay, everyone that raised their hand. No, I'm not.
No, sir, that's cheap.
Just answer my question, or you can come up and speak. Okay.
Next question.
How many people here are opposed to wind farms? Okay. How many of you stand to benefit financially from wind farms? It's 2 or 3, 4, okay. How many people who are pro-wind farm won't be able to, doesn't live near where they're going to be? Okay, a whole lot of them. How many people who are anti-wind farm live in Helt Township or Dana? Okay, I think that's good information for you gentlemen to consider. Thank you.
Can we address what that FAA document is? That is not a lie. That is, they literally produce a map that blankets out the whole area that might be considered so that they can get the clearance they need to continue development. That is not a like untruthful document. You just don't understand the process of how.
Can everybody get a rebuttal?
That's not it.
Can everybody get a rebuttal? Everybody that's ever said. I got a few rebuttals that for minutes.
Travis, good to see you. You can hide back there for a minute.
Good evening. My name is Travis Newman. Lifelong Vermillion County. Except for a little bit. Went around, saw some places in the world that maybe you all saw on TV. But anyway, I'm going to go back and review. I'm going to do some review from last time. I'm trying to, you got to reinforce things. I got to say them more than once. I have to be redundant. But what this schism is over in the county is the populists versus the plutocrats, plutocracy. So people feel like they're not being represented and this is being shoved down their throat. And they want to sell this like it's beneficial for the entire county. These are private leases with private individuals for private gain. This board is here to craft an ordinance for us, the whole county, to protect the health, safety, and welfare and environmental impact of anything that goes on constructed in this county. So I think these men are more than qualified, and I think this community is more than prepared and full of people with plenty of varied experience and education. I've heard a lot about education. I'll save you my resume. We can just you read on my obituary. But I could be anywhere. I could pick up and go anywhere in this country, but I choose to be here. So how you just can't sell it on it's gonna bring jobs. You know what that etymologically rooted in? It's in gob. Job comes from gob. It's a pile. You're selling piles. That's what it is. We need employment, work. That's what makes people. Not just jobs. Give them a job. We need real work. And real work would be agriculture. And I'll go back into review about agriculture. Agriculture is the cultivation of the soil for crops for man and beast. Farming. Industrial wind turbines have no place in an agricultural setting. As I presented last meeting, Montgomery County, Indiana, right on the first page of their wind ordinance, you place these things in industrial districts, not agriculture. I'm gonna back up and talk about what I talked about that last meeting, because it's really kind of good. Got a chuckle out of everybody when I was talking to a Gentile man over in Rockville, Indiana. He wasn't from Rockville, he was from another county, but he's well versed, very well versed. And he told me, I said something about people don't like the lights on. They don't like the lights, shut your eyes. Everybody kind of chuckled, but I tried shutting my eyes and imagine that. But you know what? You ever have an animal that loses their sight? Does anybody know anybody blind? Nobody? Okay. Well, when you lose one of your senses, you develop your other senses kick in more acutely. So I close my eyes, and you know what? My smell, it turns on, and I can just smell. I can smell that wind project, and it just smells like hog. You know, it just stinks to high heaven. And you know what? You can be biased. There's nothing wrong with being biased against wind turbines. That's not illegal. What is an error? We craft an ordinance. You can be biased. Somebody can come here and say, I do not like the look of them. There's nothing wrong with that. It's the enforcement of the ordinance once it's crafted. That would be bias. So that's where we would err. We don't want to err. We want to do what's right. We want to do what's right for the county and for the people in it. So what's more important in this county? The people or the money? That's to be gained by a few people. And some people stand on principle and they will pass up on those leases to gain a little bit of finances, a little financial gain. I really wasn't to go there with that. I was just going to talk about a few other things, but there's some things you just can't prove it wrong. This whole green energy is driven by subsidies and tax abatements. That's all that drives it. Ooh, it's coming, it's coming. Well, it's a big pile of money. And you know, nobody in this room realizes a plutocrat because you're just jumping at that little chunk of cheese they're throwing out in front of you. That's what's going on. So, I'm going to close with the 3 things to do. Get with your commissioners. Sign the petition. If you're against it, you want to protect the interest of the county. And come to these meetings so we can hammer it out, unbiased or biased, with our own folks from Vermillion County. We don't need to bring anybody else in. Thank you.